Welcome to your podcast where we dive into sports. Join in as we explore the latest news, thrilling matchups, and provide the best sports content. Whether you're a diehard or a casual, this podcast is your destination. Get ready as we follow the world of sports. Let the games begin. All right, welcome back. Let's dive right into it. So it's been a busy week in sports. Today is Thursday, July 6th, 2023, and a whole lot is going on this week. I mentioned it being a busy week, but this weekend it is a stacked weekend with, UFC card, boxing cards. We'll have the Gold Cup matchups. We have some NBA Summer League. So quite a bit going on. Of course, with that, free agency in the NBA just is, ramping up. By now it's winding down more than ramping up, but a whole lot has happened. Some moves, some changes on that end. So let's dive into it. And we'll kick things off with the CONCACAF Gold Cup, where the knockout stage is set. And with that, we have our quarterfinal matchups on Saturday and Sunday. We will be seeing these quarterfinal matchups take place. And starting us off on Saturday, we will see Panama taking on Qatar. And then we will also see Mexico taking on Costa Rica. So, whatever team advances will move on to the semifinal, of course. But we also have their opponents. They'll be facing, each of their own respective opponents. On Sunday, we'll have USA facing off with Canada. And then we'll have Guatemala facing off with Jamaica. So essentially the way it's going to break down is the winner from Panama and Qatar will face the winner from the USA and Canada. And then Mexico, Costa Rica's winner will face Guatemala and Jamaica's, winner. And they, winners move on to the semifinal. From there we have our final, which will take place on July 16th. So quite a bit of time from there, about 10 days, right, from today's date, maybe 9 days, being that it's towards the end of the day here. A lot to happen still. We got a few games to get to that final. You know me, I'm rooting for the good old boys, the USMNT. Hope they can take care of business, walk away with another trophy, another cup. They've been on a roll. The Kings of CONCACAF, they call them. But I don't think it'll be easy. And from what I'm seeing, they're not really taking, those A-team, if you will. I've been seeing some maybe second stringers, B-teamers. I'm not sure how it'll shape up as we move towards, and progress throughout the cup. But, Qatar, just a couple nights ago, we saw them beat Mexico, and I believe it was 1-0. So, anything can happen there. Panama is feisty. We'll see, who comes out of there. And we can't sleep on Canada, They, just, what was it, in the Nations Cup, just a couple short weeks ago, they lost to the U.S., so this could be a sort of a get back for them, right? Get a little bit of a revenge factor going there. Then, of course, Mexico. Mexico's a wild card. They've been up and down a lot. For the most part, they've been down lately. Crazy what's going on at their games. Their own fans fighting each other, stabbing each other. They could really use a win. I would think to help galvanize the troops, if you will. But Costa Rica's not going to give them that win easy. I expect that to be a feisty matchup. So, we move on to Guatemala and Jamaica. That I'm interested to see. I'm not too sure how that one's going to pan out. But, they're both going to want to make sure they make their way into the semifinal and continue to progress and hold that trophy at the end. So, definitely an interesting weekend when it comes to that Gold Cup, the CONCACAF Gold Cup. For the United States, of course, Canada and Mexico hosting that World Cup here shortly in a couple of years. They're trying to get everything together where it's the A squad, the B squad, making sure, you're getting that important time on the pitch, running, getting more familiar with everyone and playing at a high level, more importantly, especially since, being a host, the three nations hosting together, being a host nation, you don't really need to qualify. You automatically qualify, so you don't have necessarily a list of qualifier matches that you're going to have to, go through like you normally would in a World Cup cycle, right? So these sort of tournaments, I think, are important, and even more reason why to be excited about this year's CONCACAF Gold Cup. So looking forward to this weekend. Soccer's, it's summer. We got baseball, we got soccer, and it's definitely interesting when there's something on the line. All right, and with that, we'll get into combat sports. We have the stacked UFC card, the 290 card pay-per-view, where we have in the main event, of course, Alexander Volkanovski. Guy's a beast, no more needs to be said, and of course, he's going up against that wild card Yair Rodriguez. When I think about this main event and the matchup, I feel like Volkanovski is just this. He seems a bit more calculated, more, maybe looking for that counter to get you, and then strike, take care of business. As far as Yair, he definitely looks disciplined, but he also seems a bit more unorthodox, maybe in his approach. I feel like if he gets inside and he finds a way, and that elbow's coming, he just wants to get that range, and if he feels he's close enough in that range, even if it doesn't look like it's coming, he'll find a way to get in there and make that impact. Make sure you feel that elbow on your face. So I'm looking forward to that main event. Of course, in the co-main event, we have Brandon Moreno taking on Alejandro Pantaja, and this, I actually saw a little bit of the ESPN UFC content that they put out, and it looks like these two have some history that dates back to Ultimate Fighter, but more recently we saw when Brandon won his title. He's going through the back, and they run into each other, and he tells Pantoja, he's like, "You're next. You're gonna get that shot." Brandon, him being Brandon, and Pantoja kind of pressing. Well, when is that going to be? And Brandon just smiles like, come on, I just got off. He literally just got out of the the octagon there. And of course, Team Moreno comes in. Hey man, chill out. He says soon. So, I think that's given reason for Pantoja to be talking how he has, where he feels like maybe Brandon isn't as willing to fight him as he's coming across as he's willing to fight Moreno. So. Between these two, I think it's Brandon. Usually puts on a good show. I'm not too familiar with Alexandre Pantoja, but I'm looking forward to this one, and learning more about his style and seeing what he has, especially with somebody that right now is carrying the championship. He just got out of that thrilling, series of fights, and we want to see just how good really can Brandon Moreno be. So looking forward. Of course, it's a stacked card. Robert Whittaker's on the card. We'll see a few other fights there. But for UFC 290, I definitely am looking forward to that, Matt. That list of fights that we have on the card. And moving into boxing. Continuing with that combat sports theme. Very big week in boxing. I was looking forward to seeing, the two main events, one for PBC, one for Golden Boy. We're going to see Jerome Boots Ennis. We were going to see in the other card, Virgil Ortiz. And I was really excited just because, it's early in July. At the end of July, we all know we're getting the undisputed welterweight matchup that we've been waiting years for, right? So with that in mind, I was just even more excited this weekend for about this weekend. Not more for the undisputed fight, but really looking forward to this weekend because Jerron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz. These are arguably the next up when it comes to the welterweight division, and your potential champions that we'll see in the future. Now earlier today, unfortunately, the news came out that Virgil Ortiz came ill. He fell ill while he was getting ready for his fight on Saturday. The reports the speculation is that he fell ill, he fainted. Apparently he may have had to have, some sort of mouth-to-mouth to help him. He's in the hospital. Some mixed messages came from the Oscar, accounts on social media, kind of making it seem like it was a decision that they were supporting Virgil with versus it really was what we were thinking, that it was more like a health situation where the doctors, said that, it was a no-go. It was not, it seemed like Oscar was coming across like it was a decision that Virgil and his maybe father had made versus we're understanding where it was like a medical situation where doctors stepped in and said, we're not going to sanction this. So, yeah, I believe more is going to come on that. It's I'm an Oscar fan, I'm a Golden Boy fan, but it's not the best look. You just had this situation with Ryan Garcia, after the tank fight that took place a few months back. Um, the situation where they're gonna, sue Ryan. Golden Boy is suing Ryan. That's not a pretty situation at all. That you want to be in as a promoter. I think where you're having to sue your own fighters. Now the situation with Virgil. I'm sorry, when getting ready for his fight on Saturday, it's it's something to keep in mind. It's something to keep in mind. I wish all the very best for Virgil Ortiz, a speedy recovery. If are going through these issues, these sort of situations, it may be time to consider moving up a division. We definitely want to see the best version of you, and that would be a healthy version in my opinion. So all the very best, Virgil. You're a stand-up. You seem like a stand-up person on social media. You seem that you stay committed, and you definitely work on your craft. And as fans, we just want to see you be able to show off that talent, and you got to be healthy to do that. So all the best. But focusing on the main event that we will be getting, Jaron Boots Ennis taking on Roman Villa. Jaron Ennis is just like Virgil Ortiz, every bit as what we've said about what we expect him to be. The same can be said for Jaron, if not maybe even more, because of the family, the background, the father trainer that he's had. So definitely excited about Jaron and his future. He'll be facing on Villa, who earlier this year, just a few months ago, had one of the upsets in boxing. I won't say it was the biggest upset, but a lot of people had Rashid Yellis beating him, and he just put on a clinic that day, took care of business, and made himself, undeniable. People had to, give him his respect. And now he's facing the situation where he's going to show the world, all right, was that a fluke, a one-trick pony, beginners, whatever have you? He's trying to prove that that's not the case, that it is for real, that what he brings is something that you can bet on. And he's trying to show us, that he's here, he ain't here for a short time, right? Or a good time. He's here for a long time. So we'll see. We'll see if that's the case. If he is able to stay on track, keep that momentum. He has one loss on the record, but that's life, right? You get down, you get back up. So I'm looking forward to this matchup on here Saturday night. He is older, quite a bit older than Jaron. I'm gonna be picking Jaron in my prediction for this matchup. I didn't really predict the UFC card just because, those are a little harder for me to predict right now. I will get more into that. But for boxing, I'm going to go with Jaron. I'm going to think Villa is going to be a tough customer. I'm going to say this right now. I don't think it'll be a walk in the park for Boots at all. But I think at the end of the day, when the 12 rounds are over, what have you, Jaron's going to be raising his hand. So he'll be victorious. And we'll wrap this up with the NBA and the Summer League. So, Summer League kicked off, just a little while ago. About last month, we crowned a new NBA champion. So, congratulations to the Denver Nuggets. Now, with that, now they have that crown on their head. And, right after we crowned a champion, we got into the draft, right? So, the draft went through. And then we have free agency, and then that's kicked off. And, definitely, still going down. So, yeah, though it may be the off season, the NBA is starting off their summer league, and speaking of the draft, last year's pick, Chet Holmgren got injured, was not able to actually participate in the regular season. So this year he's back, he's healthy, he's put on some weight, looks like it's all muscle, so good for him. And he looked physical, looks like that weight he's putting it to use. He looked physical on the defensive end, protecting the rim. And showing exactly why they picked him when they did, where they did, and making sure he reminds everybody, I'm here, I'm Chet Holmgren, and I'm going to teach you guys exactly what I'm all about. So, shout out to him for getting healthy, for bulking up, getting some of that muscle, and it's showing. Of course it was one sample, but after missing the whole year. It just looked like a positive step forward for him. But tomorrow night, Friday night, it's a big night in the summer league. We will have the number one pick going up against the second overall pick in this year's draft, when the San Antonio Spurs and Victor Wembanyama take on Brandon Miller and the Charlotte Hornets. So this is exciting. I mean, the two teams have already played earlier this week in the California Classic of the Summer League. However, Victor sat out, all of the California Classic, so he hasn't actually participated in any of the Summer League. We are expecting, and by all reports, they indicate that tomorrow night on Friday, Victor will be playing, and it's expected that Brandon Miller will be playing. So definitely exciting to see, number one go up against number two. It's summer league, but it's still exciting to see exactly what the hype has been about when it comes to Brandon Miller, and of course when it comes to Victor Wembanyama. Full disclosure, as a Spurs fan, I'm even more excited about that, especially after everything that's been said about this young man and what he can and can't do. Just wish him all the best. I wish he can stay healthy, and we'll back him up no matter what. That's what Spurs fans are all about, right? You back up your team, por vida. But yeah, definitely excited about this weekend. A big week in the NBA. Speaking of Wembanyama, that whole drama went down with Britney Spears. So, it's Thursday night. Apparently on Wednesday night, Victor was at a restaurant. Britney's in Vegas. Victor's there for the Summer League. And somewhere or another, they end up at the same restaurant. And I guess Britney, felt confident, felt okay enough to go up to Victor from behind. And according to her, tap him on the shoulder. According to Victor, he was grabbed from behind. So, I wasn't there. This is just, what Victor said on, in an interview earlier today, and what Britney said in a statement. Their own version of what happened. What happened next, apparently the head security for the Spurs, as soon as they weren't even sure who this person was. Some people are saying that the person came up speaking in a different, maybe like a different accent, and once that happened, they weren't too sure what the situation was about. They didn't recognize who the person was, and apparently either the security pushed her, smacked her. Britney is saying she was smacked. The security, I believe, said that she was pushed, and with her being pushed, I guess her arms ended up smacking her. I'm not sure. That again, not being there, this is the one side says, the other side says. It's a little tough, but we'll see. I mean, that's just some crazy stuff in sports that goes on. Britney back in the day, everybody knows who Britney was. No hate on her. Hope she's doing well. But Vic starting off at 19-year-old, starting off his NBA career. I'm sure the last thing he thought was, let's be mean. From everything that I've seen, he looks really open to fans, and seems like he stops and signs a lot of, fans, either, gear, jerseys, paper, pictures, what have you. It seems like it. I'm not saying he does it every time, but, for the age that he's at, having came over from France, the guy seems to at least, be willing to, interact with the fans, from what I've seen at least. So, all the best to Britney. No hate on her. We all know what she did in her career, who she was. What happens later on in life. Sometimes we got to give each other some grace. But, Vic, props to you. Looking forward to what you can do. And again, looking forward to this weekend, with the UFC card, the 290 card. Of course, the boxing that we have with Jerome Boots Ennis. We have a lot of boxing. Actually, Diego Pacheco is fighting. So he's going to put on a show as well. And, of course, like we talked about, soccer, the Gold Cup, getting ready for that World Cup here in a few short years, that the United States, Mexico, and Canada will be hosting together. Exciting times. Look forward to recapping all this with you all on the next episode. Then we'll preview what's around the corner. But for now, thanks for listening. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed the latest episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and follow us everywhere. See you on the next one.